If you want a man to fall in love with you and stay in love with you, he needs to feel these 5 things. Hello, my name's Matthew Coast, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 things that a man needs to feel if you want him to stay in love, if you want him to fall in love, if you always want him to love and be in love with you. So, if you're ready to hear and discover what these 5 things are, type yes into the chat and let's get started. Okay, so number one, the first thing that a man needs to feel is passion and or chemistry. And so he wants to feel excited about you and the relationship. If he feels like you're just a friend or you're just a roommate, or even worse, it's like he's bored with the connection. It's just not there. It doesn't really matter. He's not going to feel drawn to you. He's not going to want to pursue you. He's not going to want to invest in you. He's not going to want to do any of those things. So remember this: passion is created by polarity. So if there's no interest there, it's really difficult to create it. That's something that you kind of a lot of people are kind of confused at. They find some guy and they're like, "Oh, I want to create this passion with him, create this excitement, create this chemistry." If he has absolutely nothing there, it's going to be really, really difficult for you to create it with him. But if he's got a level of interest already, it's a lot easier to take that and build on it than it is to build on something that completely doesn't exist in the first place. So this also, what we're going to be talking about with polarity, it also creates unpredictability. It also creates mystery. And so polarity is the key word here. Polarity. It's powerful. And there are 2 types that we're going to be talking about. The first one is light and dark polarity. And so this is really having more aspects to your personality, pulling out different aspects of your personality that maybe you weren't pulling out before. And so everybody's got a dark and a light side. And so what you want to do is look at where he is, right? If he's a light side kind of a person, right? And light and dark is like, light is like everything's happy. He's kind of moving towards things. He's like passionate about life. He loves everything, right? And dark side's like the dark side of your personality, right? It's the dark humor, is, laughing at things that you probably shouldn't laugh at, right? It's that like deep sexuality that you have. It's all that kind of stuff, right? This channel actually is more of a light side channel. Like the things that I talk about tend to be more light side types of things. Well, there's a dark side that we all have. I've got it too, right? I've got dark parts of my humor and my personality and stuff like that. And a lot of that I don't really bring out on this channel as much. And however, if you find that a guy's like that, where he's got all these light parts, you can start bringing out some of your dark humor, and it actually creates a polarity there, right? It creates this interest. It creates like, whoa, wait a second, right? And it's really exciting and it's fun and it can build on things. A little friction, a little disagreement, a healthy conflict can actually spice things up, right? So don't just always be agreeable and all that kind of stuff. Usually people that do that, and it happens a lot of times where people get together and they're like, oh, I'm going to try to be like perfect and have no disagreements and not bring out any of the dark aspects of my personality. And what ends up happening is that stuff ends up blowing up in their faces way later on down the line, because they start realizing that they don't actually know each other that well and all that kind of stuff. And so you want to pull out those different things. Don't avoid having conflicts. Don't avoid pulling out some of those parts of your personality, because those can actually create more attraction between the two of you. Does that make sense? The second part is masculine, feminine. This is the second polarity that we're going to be talking about, which makes him feel like a man. It gets him excited about you. It keeps that spark alive. And the best way to keep passion in a long-term relationship is through masculine, feminine polarity. It's the best way. If you want to keep him feeling in love with you, you want to keep that spark alive, keep that masculine and feminine polarity there. And it's really easy to do. Just he wants to be a protector, he wants to be a provider. For those of you who aren't offended by the word provider, he wants to be a provider, he wants to be that protector for you. And so whenever you can, push him into that protector and provider roles. Right now we're living in a society where women are being pushed more and more into their masculinity, and men are being pushed more and more into their femininity. And it's actually really relieving when you can get into a dynamic with somebody where you feel natural because you can be in this space that makes you feel natural, right? Which for the overwhelming majority of women is femininity, and the overwhelming majority of men is masculinity. And sometimes it might take a little bit of work to get there, just because, if a man has been in his femininity for a long time, it kind of feels weird, right? Not a place to be in your masculinity. And for women, it's the same thing. If you've been in your masculinity for a long time, it can feel weird and out of place to be in your femininity. But once you get there, it feels a lot more relieving and relaxing and stronger and more powerful. So if you can accept your femininity and his masculinity, he'll feel at home with you. It'll make him feel at home with you, and it'll create that spark, that passion, and that excitement that you guys can have. That creates a lot of, it just feels great. Feels great. It draws him towards you. If you're here with us right now, say hi in the chat and tell us where in the world you're watching us. It's cool to see women from all over the world watching these live streams. So number 2 is support. So this makes a man feel close to you. He needs to feel close so that he can bond with you, and that love can actually grow with you. And so he wants to feel seen, right? These are things that a lot of these things are things that women want as well, right? You want to feel seen. Well, men want to feel seen as well. He wants to feel like you get him and you know who he is. He wants you to like and accept him for who he is. If he feels like he's a project that you're constantly trying to work on and fix and make into this perfect thing, you're building him into a chair or whatever, and you're going to sit him over there and he's going to be this perfect on display thing that you're kind of building. He's most likely going to resist that, right? He wants to be supported for who he is. He wants to be accepted for who he is. And the second part of this is partnership. And what that means is it's something that I call the partnership principle, which is having someone who is on his side. He wants someone who is in alignment with who he is, somebody that he can see in the far distant future and be like, yeah, I can see us being together for a long time. You've got his back just like he should have your back. You're loyal to him just like he should be loyal to you. It's hard for a man to fall in love and stay in love if he can't see a future with you. It's easy for him to fall in love and stay in love if he can see that you guys are moving in the same direction in life together. It's really easy for him to fall in love with you that way. Number 3 is safety. So safety is it's one of those things where a lot of women look at men and they're like, if you see that he's like, they'll so I've had this happen a few times in my life where I'll like meet women and they'll like just like they'll do all these weird kind of things where uh they're like breaking trust, or they can't trust men, or whatever it is, right? And almost everyone, men and women, has a wounded inner child that needs to feel safe in order for it to come out and be expressed. And if that inner wounded child feels safe, it's a lot easier for a man or a woman to fall in love with that other person, right? And so if he can't feel vulnerable, it'll be very hard for him to feel like he can fall in love or stay in love. And so you don't want to break that trust. You don't want to break that safety that he feels around you, so that he can feel like he can be vulnerable around you. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? So trust is the first part of this, which is absolutely essential to any relationship. Without it, few relationships can survive without trust. And so, what you want to do is avoid shady behavior, avoid any shady behavior. So, flirting with guys in front of him, this should be common sense stuff. Hiding things from him, lying to him. We get a lot of women on our channel a lot of times where they'll have guys who are doing these things, right? And it should break your trust. It should make you feel like you can't trust him. And you want to question why you're even with a guy if he's constantly doing shady behaviors, if you feel like you can't trust him. And if it's not about him, if it's actually about you, because a lot of times it is about you and not about him, right? Like for some men you're going to meet, they can't be trusted, or they can't feel trust for other people. And you want to make sure that you look for that from the beginning, right? It's one of the things that I talk about over and over and over in the Forever Woman program, is that you want to look at this relationship and say, okay, this is the goal, the relationship, not the man. And then move towards the relationship that you want and find a guy that's with you on that journey, not just find some guy and then try to fix him into being the right guy. That just doesn't work very well. So you want to avoid lying to him, all that kind of stuff, right? And instead engage in trusting behaviors. So show him that you're loyal to him when it's needed. Do things that you say you're going to do consistently. Support him when he needs it. Trust that he has your best intentions in mind. Trust that he's not going to go out and cheat on you. Trust him with your feelings and with your heart. And trusting in him actually creates trust in him. If you have huge amounts of jealousy, work on becoming a more secure attachment type. And if, like I said, if he's not trustworthy, then you should question being with him from the beginning. And the second part of this is acceptance, which this just means loving and accepting him and his past, accepting who he is now and not trying to change him, allowing him to get emotional and not belittling him for that, right? Like, this is what I was talking about earlier with like a lot of times I'd meet women, and there's a lot of women out there who will just bust on you, right? It's like this guy chick, that's what they call them out in the men's dating spaces, like the guy chick, right? Where you're like, oh, like, what are you, just a wussy, or whatever, right? And you just make fun of, like, you bust on a guy when he's being emotional, or he has things, because it's, especially if you're on the eastern side of the United States, it's like a very, very common thing for a lot of women to do, is just bust on guys. And like, there's a certain amount of that can be fun and flirty and cool and acceptable, but there's a certain amount of it where if you can't get into just having normal conversations and allowing somebody to open up and be deep and all that kind of stuff, that's a problem, right? That's going to be a problem for you in any relationship, because there's not going to be a lot of depth there, which, maybe you just want a shallow relationship. I don't know. Maybe you don't. And if you don't, if you want something deeper, if you want something real, it's important to be able to have real conversations and regular conversations where you're not attacking each other, you're not busting on each other, you're not doing all those things. Safety is incredibly important, and it's often overlooked by a lot of women because they think that men are confidence machines. They're just running around. And it is actually true that women often have a lot more fears for their safety and more concerns around their safety than men do. And at the same time, we also need to feel safe. We also want to feel safe around you, especially if we're going to fall in love with you. If you get what I'm talking about, say yes in the chat. If you don't get what I'm talking about, go ahead and ask whatever questions you have, and I will get to them here in just a minute. So, number 4 is that he needs to feel ready. So men could not be, they might not be ready for a number of different reasons, right? He might feel like he hasn't lived enough of life yet, or he hasn't explored enough, or he doesn't have enough money to provide for you or be the masculine force in your relationship, or maybe he's not really ready emotionally, right? He might have some issues that he hasn't overcome yet that he needs to overcome, or maybe he's still stuck on an ex of his, right? If Here's the thing though, if a guy tells you that he's not ready, you need to believe him. Believe him. When a guy tells you he's not ready, it doesn't matter what his actions are. It doesn't matter if he shows you that he's, doing all these things or whatever. If he tells you he's not ready, if he tells you he's not looking for what you're looking for, if he tells you any of those kinds of things, you need to believe him. Believe him. Believe him. If he's not ready, you can't make him be ready. He has to make himself be ready. That's the only way that he can be ready. And you should not wait for him to be ready. If he's not ready, that's great. You can find somebody who is ready and who does want something and who's willing to get himself together. And when he does, if at some point he gets himself ready, then he can come back. And if you're not in a relationship at that point, maybe you guys can potentially continue seeing each other. That's the place that you should come from around the readiness thing. Our number 5 is valued. We all want to feel valued. You want to feel valued. He wants to feel valued. Everybody wants to feel valued. And the reality is that for men, about 95% of men, this is their number one emotional need. Like the overwhelming majority of men, this is the number one emotional need that they have. And if he can get it from you, he won't look for it in other places as much, right? If you can be one of his main sources for this, then he'll just come to you for this instead of needing to go out and get it from other places. And the two different ways that we're going to be talking about for a man to feel valued is, one is respect. And respect is just about appreciation, right? And my favorite definition of appreciation actually comes from economics, where they say that to appreciate something means to raise its value in your eyes. And so you're raising the value of something, right? So you don't want to put him on a pedestal, but you do want to make him feel valued the same way that you want to feel valued, right? And so you just want to compliment him, give him appreciation, show him, find out what his love language is, and show him love in the way that he wants to feel love, and make sure he knows your love language so that he can do the same, right? And I know that by the end of this, there's going to be some women that are like, "Oh, well, what about what he needs to do?" I get this, all the time, and the answer is, you should both be building each other up. You should both be loving on each other. You should both be trusting each other. You should both be that's what a healthy relationship is it going both ways. It's you're building the relationship together. That is a healthy relationship. Nothing else is healthy. And so the second part of this is feeling needed. And feeling needed is him feeling like there's a space for him in your life so he can make you happy. He matters to you. He has a place in your life. Allow him to give to you, allow him to express his love for you in his own way, allow him to have a place in your life. That's what makes him feel needed. We're right now, we live in a time where society is devaluing men. And if he can feel valued by you, it'll be easy for him to fall in love with you, and it'll be easy for him to stay in love with you. And just remember this, couples who grow together stay together. There have been a ton of studies on this and how this works, but be someone who brings the best of him out, and make sure you're with a man who brings out the best in you. If you can do that, he'll want to fall in love with you, and he'll want to stay in love with you. So what questions do you have? I'm going to go over the 5 again here real quickly, and then I'll get to questions. So post whatever questions you have in the chat, and I will get to them here in just a minute. So number 1 is passion or chemistry. Number 2 is support. Number 3 is safety. Number 4 is being ready. And number 5 is feeling valued. All right, so what questions do you have? Hello, 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 Mary Jo. Hello, hello, hello. Lots of people here with us. Gay says, you mean immature men? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Hello from Germany. Hello, hello, hello. Denise says, exactly. Says, haha, what about what we want? Men are complicated too. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like what I was just talking about, which is you should both be getting these things. You should both be valuing each other. You should both be connecting each other with each other. You should both be trusting each other. And if that's not going on, that's a problem. It's an absolute problem. It's an absolute problem. Shona says, not to sound prudish, but what about what a woman needs to show her love? We need things too. My man loves me. I don't need a tutorial to know how he feels. Cool, right? And it's so funny because we get women that come here and they do this all the time. And if you go over to the men's dating advice channels and their websites and stuff, you'll see a whole bunch of comments on their stuff about like, oh well, what about what a man needs, and it's like, yeah, we all need these things. It's important that you're getting these things from a man. Nobody's ever going to deny that. It's very, very important. And this is a women's dating channel, right? So we talk about what men need here and what I do have a bunch of videos about what you should be getting from a man in order to be with a man and making sure that you're getting into a good situation. And so it's not, I mean, it doesn't sound prudish. You should be concerned about what it is that you're getting and what kind of a relationship you're getting into. And you should make sure that you're getting connected with in the right ways. And that's, I'm not going to be teaching men how to do that on this channel because this is, I was looking at the stats the other day, and I think it's like 99% women who watch this channel, and for good reason, right? It's a women's dating channel. It's a women's dating channel, right? And if you don't need a tutorial, if you have no problems, if you're not having any problems at all, Shauna, it's fine. You don't need to be here. If you don't have any questions about anything, you don't need to be here. Ray says, what does substance mean in a relationship? He said we lacked substance. We did things together, went places. Guess it doesn't matter now if we're not together, but just curious what he meant. Well, here's what I would say is that when a guy says like we lacked substance, what he's probably really, because when men and women break up with each other, we don't usually actually say what the problem is, right? What we say is all the things that came up for us when when we no longer feel it anymore, right? So if you stop feeling it for a guy and the guy's like, hey, I'm you go to him and you break up with him and you're like, hey, I just, we don't have anything in common and there's no substance here and there's this and there's that and there's all these different things, right? Usually those aren't really what the problems are. Usually those are just things that you bring up after the fact because you start getting annoyed with him and you're like, oh, there's no substance and oh, this and oh, that, right? And usually what the real problem is a lack of chemistry or a lack of trust or a lack of something that kind of breaks things up and makes that person feel like this isn't worth it anymore, right? They start feeling more pain from being around you than they do pleasure. And so they look outside and they see more pleasure from either being single or being with somebody else. And so they move towards that. And so I wouldn't get overly caught up in the substance thing. What it actually means, if you're curious about what it actually means, is it means depth, right? What he's saying is that there wasn't a whole lot of depth there, right? Like there wasn't a whole lot of things that you have in a deep way. Like there's no deep connection there, which may or may not be true, right? Like I said, people just come up with things. If you meet somebody and you're like really into them and you're like, oh, they have all these things that are like different than me and there's I don't know, I don't have to worry about this and we can do that or whatever, right? And you take all the things that a lot of times somebody would see as being a negative, and you turn them into a positive, right? Because you're you have that love drunk going on, right? And so you're just all into this person. But if you like lose that, all of a sudden, all those things that you liked about that person all of a sudden become problems. It's not like, oh, all these things that we have different. It's like, oh, all these things that we have different in each other. And that's what ends up happening. That's what you do when you when you lose interest in another person. So, Ray, there's probably a bigger problem going on there than actual substance. Um, so you'd probably want to look at that instead. Probably want to look at that instead. Two, two. Mary Beth says, just do you ladies. If it's meant to be, it will be. Well, and I think that there's a lot to be said about that, and I think that this phrase, like if it's meant to be, it will be. Um, I think that for a lot of people, what they do and what a lot of people in America, at least Western culture, have been doing lately is they've been going, hey, you know what? I don't need to grow because, if it's meant to be, it'll be, right? And I think that it's like putting responsibility or ownership of your results in your life onto this kind of like destiny fate type of a thing, which I think that there's value in doing to a certain extent, but I also think it's valuable to take ownership and say, hey, I want to be the best person that I can be. I want to learn how to connect with other people and, be with another person better. Because if you don't do that, right? Like, why would a guy want to be in a relationship with you, right? And it, like I said, they've done studies over and over and over again that they found that people that grow together stay together. And so if you don't want to learn about dating advice and you don't want to become a better version of yourself and you don't want to connect with somebody and develop better connections with a guy, that's fine. Just don't get mad when guys don't want to learn how to connect better with you and become a better version of themselves to be with you and all that kind of stuff. um, and I like I said, I think that there's value in the belief that things are guided and that everything will work out and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to kind of throw away your own responsibility in a relationship. Saying that if it's meant to be, it'll be doesn't give you the right to treat other people badly or to not grow and develop yourself and to just stay stagnant where you are. So that's what I have to say about it, Mary Beth. Wendy says, yes, it makes a lot of sense. Good. Glad it makes sense. Marie is watching from California. Billy says, my soon ex-husband to be cheated on me moved out with this girl he cheated on me with. Less than a month, she kicks him out. He comes back, wants to get back together. I was kind of falling for it, but he still wants the divorce and start over slow. Can you give me some advice? Yeah, I mean, if a guy it sounds like he's going through like a midlife crisis or something right now, Billy. But it's one of those things where if a guy cheats on you, I mean, he cheated on you and moved out with another woman, you know, um, and right now you're questioning whether you want to get back together with him or not. I wouldn't if I were you. That's not what I think would be a healthy scenario for you for a number of different reasons. One of the reasons is because you're devaluing yourself, right? You're saying, hey, it's okay if you treat me like garbage, right? And you're looking at yourself and you're saying, hey, it's okay if a guy totally breaks everything, all the rules, all the everything that we've created together, all the trust that we've had, everything together. He's totally broken it. And I'm okay with him coming back to me. The second reason I wouldn't do it is because you're setting a precedent that it's okay for him to do that and then come back to you. That's a bad precedent completely, right? Now he's talking about wanting a divorce and starting over slow, which means that he's not done yet. He's not done with whatever it is that he's doing and he's been doing. He wants to be single and he wants the freedom of not being in a relationship. And so my suggestion is that you continue with this divorce, right? You guys are getting a divorce, accept it, agree with it, and go with it, because you need two people that are completely committed to each other for things to work. And he is no longer committed to you, Billy. And so you don't want to allow that back into your life. And the third reason I wouldn't do it is because of because people live in patterns, right? And he has a pattern. At least he started a pattern, if it wasn't there before, where if things get difficult or things get stagnant or whatever, he goes and seeks that whatever he's missing in a partner outside of the relationship. And so that's why I wouldn't get back together, because he will likely do that again in the future. And for those three reasons, I wouldn't do it, Billy. But if you are absolutely determined to do it, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you are connecting with all of his needs. And the number one need that men stop experiencing for why they go and seek an outside partner is passion, right? There have been survey study after survey study about this. And that's the number one reason why men cheat on their spouses, is because of a lack of passion in a relationship. And so you just want to make sure that if that was missing in the relationship, that you both create that in the relationship. Like I said, I wouldn't go back to that, Billy. That's a bad situation to go back to. But if you do want to do that, make sure that all of those, that the excitement's still there in the relationship. But just know that if he doesn't experience it again at some point in the future, he's likely to go look for somebody else and to find it somewhere else that's not you, right? That's what's going on. And again, I'm sorry. It sounds really horrible, and I'm sorry to hear about your situation there, Billy. Mary Jo says, very true. She's in Biloxi, Mississippi. So thank you for being here, everyone. Sherry Swain says, yes, we need prior setups. Bring on the masculine man. Beautiful. Colorado. Yep. Masculine men are great. Masculine men are great. Jay Jordan says, happy New Year. Well, happy New Year to you too. Looking good as always. Hi from Sherwood, Arkansas. Well, hello, hello, hello. Thanks for the compliment. I love compliments. Garanata says, he got upset last night. He called me bro and ruined the mood. Ruined the mood by calling you bro, huh? What does that mean? He called me bro. Well, for most guys, it's usually just a automatic thing, right? He probably wasn't trying to ruin the mood. He probably wasn't doing anything. He was probably just like, bro, right? And said it. And he wasn't thinking anything of it. You probably took it the wrong way and got upset about it. And now you guys are in a little bit of a fight or whatever about it. But usually when a guy calls a woman bro, he's not trying to devalue you or do anything like that. He's not trying to mean anything by it. It's usually just an automatic thing. Does he call lots of people bro? Probably. And that's probably what happened when he did that with you. Susan says, how do you do it when it's long distance? You don't see him that often. Well, you want to do as much as you can over video, right? And I have an entire program about this. It's called Long Distance Allure. But you want to connect with him you can get it at commitmentconnection.com/LDR. But you want to connect with him in all those ways, just over video chat and when you're around him. Long distance relationships are difficult because there's a lot of space going on there. And if something goes wrong or something weird happens, it's difficult because you're so far away from each other. And it's really easy for one person to walk away from it and just lose interest completely. And so you can do all these things over long distance. You just have to make sure that uh, you're doing it over video chat, that you guys are connecting on a regular basis, that you have plans to meet up with each other, and that you are meeting up with each other on a consistent basis. Shurvon says, hi from Ohio. Love your videos, so helpful. You are welcome. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. Susan says, trust and communication is the most important parts to me. Yep. Mary Jo says, I'm naturally trying to fix people. Oh my, you said I'm making a chair for display. How do I stop that? Well, just stop it. Find other things to work on and fix if you want to work on and fix things, or work on and fix women, right? Women are a lot more receptive to what a lot of women call coaching than men are. So if you want to coach other women, that's totally cool. But if you're going to coach a man, and you're going to try to help a man, ask him first. That is the key. If you're going to coach a guy and you're going to tell him what he should be doing or how to fix himself, ask him whether it's okay for you to do that or not. And if he tells you no, or he tells you yes, but it looks like a no, you know what I'm talking about? Then don't do it. Don't do it. That's what I suggest. Marie says, I'm in a long distance relationship. It's been a challenge. I'm trying to keep busy and think positive. That's important to do in a long distance relationship. Susan says, I love this part, as it is important for him to accept you and your past as well. It's true. It's true. It's true. Mary Jo says, so fixing him light and dark and neither. I'm not sure what you're asking here, Mary Jo. I'm not, it doesn't, so fixing him light or dark or neither. I'm not sure what you're saying. Could you rephrase your question, Mary Jo? Char says, it's quite hilarious. Men will say they just want a peaceful relationship. That makes me laugh because when they get into it, they have no clue what peaceful is. So you want peaceful, be peaceful, or stay single. There you go. And a lot of people want drama and they don't realize they want drama, Char. Men and women do this both, right? Men say that they want something and then they go for a different thing, and women say they want something and they go for a different thing. It's human, right? We get attracted to things that we don't think we should be attracted to, and usually what we get attracted to is what we go for, not what we should actually go for. That's how most people operate. Fiona says, how to attract a guy you like if you're a freshman in college and an introvert. Well, Fiona, that's a great question. And what you want to do is just give him little signals, right? And then give him space to move forward with things, right? So a woman's job, for the most part, especially in the very initial stages, is to just give some signals, right? Just to make it as clear as possible that you're interested. And so if you are warm with him, right, laugh at his jokes, just have fun, flirt with him a little bit, give him eye contact, smile at him, that kind of stuff, but don't overdo it, right? You can overdo it as well. And that's a problem with men and women when they're first learning how to flirt and date and all that kind of stuff, is they'll overdo it. They'll overdo the flirting, and it just comes off too strong. And when it comes off too strong, people go, oh, there's something weird going on here. They like me too much, right? And then they kind of get turned off by it. But a lot of guys, especially in this day and age, depending on, how attractive this guy is to other women, a lot of guys aren't getting that much, aren't being shown that much like flirting. They aren't getting flirted with that much. And so if there's a guy out there that you're interested in, just flirt with him a little bit. Just, laugh at his jokes and, maybe touch them every once in a while, just on the hand or the shoulder, look them in the eyes and then look away and then look back at them and smile, just any of those kinds of things. And then just give him space and let him try to work things out, and just make it easy for him in the very initial stages to set up things with you and pursue you. And if you don't make it easy for him, most guys aren't going to do it, right? There have been studies on this. They found that 2/3 of men won't pursue you if they don't think that they're going to be successful in it. And so he needs to feel like he's going to be successful in doing this. And so just give him clues that he's going to be successful in doing it. Make it easy for him to set up a date with you. Make it easy for him to get your number. Make it easy for him to feel like he can have a conversation with you. And then just give him space to do something, and just continue being warm with them. Because some guys, especially if they're not used to pursuing women, they're not players. If a guy's not a player, then it might take him a little bit to figure out what's going on and to start pursuing you, because he's not used to doing it. Guys who are players will get on it immediately, and they'll start doing it because they're used to it, right? They do it all the time. And so a lot of women want a guy to be like really charming and funny and all these things, right? Which are really, really important things to have a good connection, and for him to know how to treat you and all that kind of stuff. However, if he's not a player, he probably doesn't know how to do most of those things, right? And so there's kind of this middle ground that you want to meet guys in, where if you're not dating players, which I don't recommend, because it's the likelihood that you're going to get what you want out of it is really low. But if you're not dating players, the likelihood that you're going to get what you want out of it is really high, right? And so you want to date guys that aren't players. You want to date guys that aren't used to getting hit on by women all the time, because those are the best guys to be in relationships with. They're the best guys to date. They might need a little bit more. They're not used to hooking up with hundreds of women and dating hundreds of women all the time and all that kind of stuff. But when they get it, they usually get it better, and they're more likely to be loyal to you. They're more likely to value you. They're more likely to really want to be with you. It's kind of going off on a tangent there, Fiona, but I hope that makes sense. I'm an introvert too, so I feel your pain. Ed Marie says, hello, answer this question. Answer this question. All right, I'll answer your question. What do you got? She says, are you familiar with John Gray? And are you familiar with him? What have you learned from him? I'm not really that familiar with John Gray's stuff. I think that John Gray has a lot of really good stuff. I think that he oversimplifies things a little bit too much, but I think that's good marketing. And that's one of the reasons why he became really, really popular, is because he has really good marketing. And that's why most people become really popular, is because they have good marketing and not because their stuff is the best. Although I think his stuff is probably really good. I'm not that familiar with it though. So I don't know. Ed Marie. You could probably tell me more about John Gray and his stuff than I could tell you. So Char says, you can never rush a man into a relationship, and you should never allow a man to rush you. There you go. What, Char, Char has a lot of wisdom. Char keeps coming on this channel, and she's got a lot of wisdom. So thanks for being here, Char. I appreciate you, Char. Kiki says, hello, did I miss anything? Did you miss something, Kiki? Did she miss something? Hey, if Kiki missed something, tell us in the chat. Tell us what Kiki missed in the chat. Did Kiki miss something? Yes or no? Char says, no man is worth trading in your peace of mind. That's true. That is true. Melinda says, if he cheated on his ex-wife and says it was because she was married to her career more than him, will he cheat on the next woman? Most likely, Melinda. He will most likely cheat on the next woman. And most likely, if a similar situation comes up, which it probably will, and he gets into a relationship with a similar type of woman, which he probably will, then it's likely that he's going to do that, right? He right now is blaming her for him cheating, which, there's a bit of understandability there, right? Like, if she's totally distant from him and he's like, okay, I'm going to go cheat, right? Because she's married to her work and she's never around and she doesn't want to talk and she doesn't want to hang out and she doesn't want to hook up with me. It's understandable that he'll go look somewhere else for it. What's not understandable is cheating while he's married, right? Cheating while he's in a relationship. What's not understandable is cheating. That's not understandable. That's not justifiable. What he needed to do is get a divorce and then go find somebody else. That's what he needed to do. And so what you're finding out is what his values are. His values are that if things are bad in a relationship, he will cheat instead of working things out, instead of ending the relationship, instead of whatever. He will go and cheat. That's what his values are. That's what his values say. That's what his moral compass has led him to do in the past. And he's justifying it right now. And so the likelihood of him doing that again is really, really high. So I hope that answers your question, Melinda. Don't hang out with that guy. He's not good. Susan says, how do you find out what his love language is? Well, the easiest way is to just see what he does, right? Is he a gift giver? Is he somebody that compliments you all the time? Is he somebody who, does like lots of acts of service? Is he somebody who loves touch, right? So you can just watch his behaviors and how most people, their love language is what they express to other people, right? There are some people that do things because they think that the other person wants those things, but most people, they do things that are in alignment with themselves. So if he's a physical touch kind of guy, he's going to come over and touch you a lot and hug you and just do like those slow hugs and stuff. If he's a compliments kind of guy, he's going to want to compliment you all the time. If he's a acts of service kind of guy, he's going to want to do things for you all the time. And so you just want to see what he's doing. And the other way is just to give him the quiz. Just give him the quiz. Just give him the quiz. Jasmine says, you always ignore my personal coaching comment. Why? I don't know what your personal coaching comment is, Jasmine. What's your personal coaching comment? Jasmine says, you are a coach. I need your help. Well, I am giving you help right now. So just go ahead and tell me what your question is, Jasmine. Fiona just gave me $20 and I am in deep appreciation for that. So thank you, Fiona, for the $20. You are freaking awesome. You rock. Thanks for helping me keep this channel alive. So Fiona says, hoping 2022 is a lot better. Last year, my country had nearly 50% of the year in lockdown and still closed borders over it. 2022 has got to have more freedom and fun, love and happiness. You know what? I am predicting that there's going to be a lot more freedom and fun and in this new year. So I'm sending that to you, Fiona. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for sending me the money. Thank you for giving me some money. I love that money. Thank you. Denise said people change. Yeah, people do change. Oftentimes not for the better. Oftentimes for the better. So it kind of depends, right? And I wouldn't bank on somebody changing because most people stay the same in the things that you want them to change in. Adrian says, can a friendship grow into more if one person is scared of getting hurt again? Yeah, it can, but I wouldn't bank on it, right? That's why most guys fear the friend zone so much, because it's, getting into the friend zone is like, it's like what it doesn't actually mean you're going to be friends. It means that you have no chance of ever having a romantic relationship again with this person. And so most guys will just leave it. And so I mean, you can do it. um, I wouldn't bank on it going somewhere, and I wouldn't bank on that person, getting over their fear of getting hurt again. And if you get into a relationship with that person, most likely what's going to end up happening is that stuff is going to come up again, and it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a serious problem. Vasilia says, Matthew, why men can't say no, and no matter you give to them, they cheated on you. Well, Vasilia, you're with the wrong guys. That's the problem. There are some guys who can say no and will say no because they're honorable men. And if you're dating a guy who can't say no and he's in a relationship with you and he cheats on you, he's not an honorable man. He's a man with no honor. He's a man with low values, low moral values. And I wouldn't be with a guy who's like that. And so what you want to do, Vasily, is stop getting into relationships quickly. Instead, slow things down a bit and learn more about a person. And you can find out what his morals and values are by talking to him, asking him questions about his past, about, you know, giving him scenarios about two people being in relationships and just seeing what he says about it. He'll tell you, most people will tell you how they feel about things. And so you just want to find out, and you want long-term consistency. And if you're not getting long-term consistency because you're meeting and getting into relationships with guys too quickly, then you want to stop doing that and do something different. Do something different. Issy says, we watch for many reasons, but one to mention is your awesome personality, Matthew, because simple, humble, and true. Well, I appreciate you, Issy, and I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. She says, why is it that coaches always talk about telling a man what I want, yet I feel that if he knew me, example, my birthday, it says a lot if he remembers and does without my having to remind him. Well, the reason that we say to tell a man what you want is because men aren't mind readers, right? And women pay a lot more attention to details than men, generally speaking, do. And so a lot of times guys don't know, women will, like, the biggest difference that they found in studies of men and women is our communication styles, where men tend to be a lot more direct and women tend to send out hints, right? They send hints around, they put little things here and there, right? And the guy's supposed to figure out, what's going on by all of her hints and her dancing around. She's like, I was dancing like this. Don't you know that means that I want a birthday cake on my birthday, right? And the guy's like, what are you talking about, right? And so you want to stop giving them hints, because guys don't operate like that. And if you want guys to operate like that, then you're going to be very disappointed in most of your relationships in the future. And so my suggestion is that you do tell guys what you want. Just tell them what you want. I mean, is it really that hard? Why does he have to try to figure out everything, right? Why are you trying to make it so difficult on him? Why are you trying to make it so difficult on him, Chi Wang? Stop making it so difficult on the guy. Make it easy for him to love you in the way that you want him to love you. Stop making it so difficult. Chi Wang, we are for all the men, in the world. I ask you, please, Chi Wang, please stop making it difficult. Stop making love so difficult for the man in your life. He doesn't want it to be so difficult, Chi Wang. Helen loves my accent. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Brandy says, Brandy Lamb, it's a fun name, says, I was talking to a guy. We were doing great for over a month, but I noticed he was dealing with some emotional stuff going on in his life. Now he has no contact with me. I've reached out and nothing. Does he just need space or what? Maybe he's not ready. Well, it's hard for us to say, Brandy. What yeah, I mean, absolutely, you should lean back and give him space. And you should be dating other people and just not worrying so much about what's going on with him until you're in an actual relationship. Guys are going to come and go. They're going to get interested. They're going to have butterfly syndrome where they're like, oh, there's a butterfly over there. And they're going to run over that way and grab a butterfly from over there. And so what you want to do is just not take any guy seriously, right? Don't overvalue men. And that's really what it boils down to, right? Is your interest in a man has to do with your value, how much you value him. And so if you stop valuing men, specifically, like specific men, as much, then you won't get as attached to them. You won't, care as much about what they're doing. And then they can prove to you over time that they're the right guy for you. And then you're not, trying to figure out where he's going and what's going on with him because you're overvaluing the guy. And so if he ignores your message, like you reached out to him and he totally ignored you, move on with your life, Brandy. Just forget about him, move on with your life, find other men to date, and find a guy who wants to show you that he actually values you and he cares about you and that he wants to treat you well. And if a guy's ignoring your messages, he's not treating you well. And if you're still trying to get with him, it's because you're not valuing yourself enough. And so what you want to do, Brandy, is you want to start changing the way that you look at yourself and start believing that you're a valuable woman who deserves to have a great man in her life who cherishes you and loves you and looks at you and says that you are amazing. I will always message you back every single time you message me because I care about you and I want you to feel loved and I want you to feel valued and I want you to feel like I see you and who you are and that you're an amazing woman. You're the most amazing woman that I've ever met in my life. That's what you want a guy to think and feel and say. And if a guy's not doing that, if he's not even starting to do that, if he's not, he's ignoring you, if he's doing the opposite of that, which is what this guy is doing, you need to leave him alone, Brandy, because he's not the right man for you. He is not the right man for you, Brandy. You need to remember that you only want a great guy who proves to you that he's the right kind of guy for you and that he's going to take you to that relationship that you want. That's what you need to do. So we're going to close out this session like the way we do with a lot of them with the Queen's mantra. So take a deep breath in and breathe out. Take another deep breath in and breathe out. And then take a last deep breath in and just breathe out with a moan. And just remember that you're a valuable woman. That if a guy's not treating you like you're a valuable woman, then you're going to go somewhere else. You're going to go where a man is treating you like you're a valuable woman. And stop going where a man ignores you. Stop going where a man treats you the wrong way. Stop doing any of those things. Instead, go where a man treats you well, treats you like you're valuable. When we say the Queen's mantra, we always say it 3 times. Are you ready? Here we go. I am valuable. I am worthy. I deserve to be cherished. I am valuable. I am worthy. I deserve to be cherished. I am valuable. I am worthy. And I deserve to be cherished. And I want you to leave this video remembering your value, remembering that you're worthy, remembering that you're enough. You might do things, you might screw up, you might mess up, but you're still enough. You might feel like you're lonely. You might feel like you're not valuable. You might feel like you just can't continue going on and doing this, and maybe you feel like things won't ever happen for you, but you are still enough. You might be confused about how somebody treats you. A guy might treat you like you're not enough, like you're not valuable, like he doesn't want to be in your life, but you are still enough. Come from that place of being enough, filling up your own cup, knowing and owning your own worthiness as a woman, as a human being. How somebody treats you does not determine your value. It does not determine whether you're enough. You are enough. You are enough to be given this life. You didn't have to prove yourself. You didn't have to show that you were worth it. Somebody loved you enough. Somebody or something loved you enough, valued you enough, knew that you were enough to give you the gift of a beating heart, to give you the gift of this life, to give you the gift of being on this planet. And you're here for a reason. You're here to share your own gifts with the world. You're here to grow. You're here to sing. You're here to dance. You're here to love and be loved. So make sure that you're coming from a place where you remember and you see your value and that you know that you are enough. That's it for this video. I'll speak with you again in the next one. And always remember, you are worth it. I'll see you again in the next video.